Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. Welcome to today's reading. So, we are just going to kind of continue on along this flow that we've been seeing in the readings here lately, just kind of see where the messages want to take us. So, once again, we're going to do a single stack for the collective. I'm just going with the flow. So, if I feel like when I get into the meditation that I need to separate it into two stacks and do a pick a pile, we will do that. But today was not that day. So it will be a general reading for this collective. Won't resonate with everyone, shouldn't resonate with everyone, but if it does resonate with you, think about subscribing and maybe even think about checking to see if there are any other messages in this saga that might be applicable to you. So if you're just joining us, this is, and if it resonates, this is a story that's been ongoing. So there may be other messages out there that might be useful for you as well in some of the older readings. But let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to jump in with the energy that is currently flowing. I think let's go with what's flowing between you, but heavy on your person based on what's been going on here. And so just to give you kind of a recap where we are after yesterday's reading, there's something that is happening with them. So we've got the Mother of Fire in reverse. Something is happening with your person in their life. Some sort of change is happening. In many cases, it's around that third party energy, but it feels like something is breaking apart. That's what we've been feeling, or at least being permanently denatured, permanently changed. Something is never going to be the same way that it was ever again. But even though there might be some good to that change, and maybe it's one they even realized they needed to make, it's causing them, they're very overwhelmed by it, and it's causing them some to do some self-destructive behavior. And so they're not really feeling like they have time to breathe right now. We've noticed some of that. On the other hand, they've done some healing. They've done some pretty considerable healing, and this is where some of them are feeling like we got one turned over in here. Feeling like they are ready to connect with you. They're feeling like they are ready to kind of move in your direction. But for the ones who are moving in your direction, what we've noticed is that it is some unhealed energy that's reaching out to you. And it doesn't necessarily go super well as a result. So I've been hearing about contact from a few of you, but I'm not hearing about that contact going the way that you would want for it to go necessarily. So we have the Earth card, the Mother of Fire in the reverse, and the Path. So there is, this feels a little bit, honestly, it feels a little bit like the Eight of Cups, but in a good way. So the way that the Eight of Cups has often been coming out for this collective has been about going on a quest, looking for the things that are most important to you, the things that would constitute that wish fulfillment that we see in the Nine of Cups. And so this Path card really does feel like going on that quest in the right direction. The Nine of Earth feels like they are using that strength that we talk about that comes from the connection between the two of you. It's generated on that spiritual side. You both are entitled to it. You both have access to it. They're utilizing some of that. They don't necessarily realize where it comes from, but it's doing them some good. Then here with the Mother of Fire in the reverse, though, I feel like this is a matter of taking a moment to figure out why you're doing what you're doing. So I will often see the advice come through for you that you got to just make sure you understand why you're doing what you're doing. We get that a lot. So this is somebody who is thinking about why they're doing what they're doing. Now, I don't necessarily get the sense like they've got it all well in hand and they know exactly why they're doing everything that they're doing, but I do get the sense that they have some idea in there. So let's see here. We have the Ten of Pentacles, which has come out, but the Ten of Pentacles in reverse talks about, and it's got some foil, so it's a little bit difficult to read here sometimes. I'm going to set it down and see if that helps. Not really. Okay, so it's the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, though. And this is about change that's happening like in their life. It's change that happens in their lifestyle, potentially in their household. It could be a pretty significant thing that's happening there. We have the Hierophant in reverse, so that sense of them, again, getting advice that is not necessarily great advice. We've seen some of that coming out in the past. The Hierophant indicating spiritual advice or spiritual guidance, but not necessarily that it may even be coming from a good place, but they're not getting anything good out of it necessarily. We've got the Sun. So here is a person who, like I said, is heading on that quest toward happiness. They've got the Fool card here, which has them kind of, this is the piece of them that feels like they're ready to move headlong into what makes them happy. The Sun is about what makes them happy. But what I'm really catching here from this is that, again, it's a sense of should be preparation, but maybe movement. They're not necessarily ready to move forward because they've still got a fair amount of that unhealed energy. But in some cases, they're not able to work past that or work around that, which I guess kind of makes sense. Given that this is a person who, you know, a lot of the ground that they've been making is relatively new ground. Okay, so King of Swords, we've got King of Swords, Ten of Swords. The King of Swords is talking about their ability to think things through. So this is a person who would benefit from having some balance between thinking things through, getting to a place where they're able to strategize. So this is somebody who's able to do that, but maybe too much thinking creates a little bit of that overthinking feeling of kind of the Eight of Swords. So I've got a King of Swords here and a Ten of Swords. And what I'm also feeling is that Eight of Swords coming out saying they do run the risk of overthinking. This is something that's very close to the edge for them all the time. But with the King of Swords here, it's with it being in the upright, there's more promise for it potentially being balanced for them. And then here with the Ten of Swords, this is kind of a neat thing here. So the Ten of Swords, they really, they come your direction. One of the reasons that they are attracted your direction is because you help them feel better from that ancient pain that has essentially plagued them their entire life. And so it's scary to them to think about moving out of that, whatever that situation is, because it's going to be something that I think we had two of them there. That's going to be, it's comfort for them. There is something comfortable about the situation that they are in here. Even though it's like the sand that makes the oyster create the pearl. Then with the Justice card and the Eight of Cups here, both of those coming in reverse. It's more of a reminder, I think, that something does require some balance or something does need to be done. The Eight of Cups in the reverse doesn't, okay, so I mentioned earlier that it felt like the Eight of Cups here, but the quest is happening, the quest that moves toward their happiness, toward their Nine of Cups, toward the thing that makes them feel satisfied and complete. With the Eight of Cups in the reverse here, it is not suggesting that they are not on that quest or that they are not going on that quest. This has almost a completely different feel to it, and it's got a sense of them meandering on that quest a little bit, or not necessarily being, not moving in a direct way, which honestly, I'd be surprised if they were moving in a direct way, because this is almost one of those things where it's going to be clearer for them what they should or shouldn't do in hindsight. Or at least that's the way it's kind of coming across for me here. Let's see what wants to come out. I feel like there's something else. So we've got the High Priestess in reverse. This is kind of, it's a nice capper for the energy that we're feeling from them, and then we can kind of jump into the, you know, the rest of the reading and what wants to come out, because I feel like there's going to be something relevant to the third party. So do you remember, some of you have been here with me for quite some time, and we noticed that in that third party energy, there was a, you know, we know that there are lessons that they're learning. There's benefit for them, lessons in that third party situation, but there's also a lot of discomfort. They've figured out they're not very happy in this situation anymore, be it a relationship, a job, a family situation, whatever the situation is. They've got guidance coming to them that they're having a tough time absorbing. So, to be fair, there's definitely some advice coming to them that's not necessarily great, doesn't necessarily, it doesn't resonate properly. Even if it is good, if it's well meant, it's not resonating properly. It's not leading them in a right direction. But this is guidance outside of that is coming in to kind of give them some idea of what they need to know with regard to the lessons around the third party. But for some reason, they're having just a tough time kind of working through that. So let's look a little bit more into it. Let's dig in. Let's find out what it is that we expect, or what do you need to know, I guess, about today's energy. That's the big question. And I think that's kind of the question that we've been asking here lately, because it's been just bubbling out, whatever the messages are, and I'm going to let it happen. So again, doing it as a single stack, because that's how it felt like it wanted to come out today. We didn't want to separate the collective in any way. So it's, what do you need to know? What is coming out around this relationship? It's about your soulmate bond. It's about your relationship overall. We've got the Four of Fire. Four of Fire in the reverse. So bonds changing, stability being broken. So again, we see the same sense that we've seen in the past, where there's something being broken. Now, this could be true for both of you. You could have enough change going on, because you both have a lot of change that we've seen going on. But if you could have enough change going on that it could be kind of removing some of the things that have been happening in your life before, could be kind of going away to make room for the new things. With the Four of Earth in the upright, though, this is exactly, this is opposition to that. So opposition to removing those things that maybe were characterizing your life in the past. There is a sense of not wanting to make a change that needs to be made. So be aware that this is shared energy in the soulmate situation. It is definitely related to them, but there's also, I see you in this. I feel you in this as well. So you may have a change that needs to be made, a new perspective that you need to more accommodate. And dropped a card. They both fell face down. It's about accommodating some new learning. So you've got a new learning, and now you've got to figure out what to do with it. All right, Six of Fire. This is knowing. Okay, so Six of Fire is like victory at the end of a long battle. However, what it feels like here is more knowing the direction of that victory, knowing how to get there, understanding what it's going to take to move that direction, or not necessarily understanding what it's going to take to move that way, but knowing where the good direction is, knowing what that there's some idea, or somebody thinks they know what that wish fulfillment looks like. So your person, and it's them, they feel like they think they know. You may also have some idea of what it is that creates your happiness from the quest that you've been on to find that also. But your person is the one that's coming out here. So we've got the Strength card. There's something about this is, we definitely have had some folks that are heading your direction, but they're not necessarily heading your direction with all the answers. In some cases, they know to be vulnerable. This is a sense of vulnerability. We have the Queen of Pentacles and the Five of Cups. It's a sense of vulnerability, but it's also a feeling that they are going to be able to do this and walk away from this interaction whole. So this is why... This is that part that I was talking about earlier, where they feel they get these moments of clarity, and then they have this new perspective that they feel like they're kind of working on, and they say, no, I can reach out. The edge of this Five of Cups is all about shame, though. Shame that they feel that opposes the feeling of this Queen of Pentacles. And the Queen of Pentacles feeling has them believing everything is okay, feeling like they're ready to move forward. The Queen of Pentacles is what makes them feel like they can take that next step. The Five of Cups is what sometimes will come back and make them feel like maybe they shouldn't have. We have a Knight of Swords and a King of Wands. So the King of Wands is very much... this is where you're going to see some of that narcissistic behavior popping up, the my way or the highway sort of behavior, which is generally not super attractive to anyone, but it is something that you may really see in this energy. With the King of Wands in that kind of King of Wands, it's heavy on the wanting to control, maybe even verging on the narcissism, the narcissistic type of behavior, the love bombing for the purpose of bringing you in and having what they want, having that narcissistic supply. And again, I'm not going to be diagnosing people, but the energy just keeps coming out, and I feel like I have to call it like I see it. It is narcissistic behavior that tends to come out, and we know that it's a defense mechanism, but it does tend to come out fairly regularly. Here with the Knight of Swords, though, that is, again, that energy that brings them in. It's the energy of like that. It's almost, sometimes that Knight of Swords comes across like a minor arcana Fool to me. And we've got both the Fool and the Knight of Swords here. That's the, I feel like I can do it. I feel like I can go for broke. I'm just going to, it's once again, it's that energy of them deciding relatively quickly to reach out. It's not, it's, I can't say it's not thought out, but it's not well thought out in the sense that they thought about doing it on the day that they do it. In a lot of cases, it's just, they've thought about it a lot, so we can't say they haven't. With the Six of Cups, it's absolutely a lot of feeling of nostalgia, looking back, memories from the past that make them remember that happiness and give them some idea of what that happiness might look like. So when we saw the sun come out earlier, it felt, very much like this Six of Cups feels. So I feel like there's a lot of a connection there. Now we also have the Seven of Cups, and nope, that's it. Seven of Cups, feeling like there's a lot of things that they could potentially be doing with their energy, but not necessarily that they don't necessarily know what they want to do. So there's a sense of needing to work through some of the options that are in front of them, because it's like somebody who's gotten a lot of emails but hasn't really read through. They know it's important, but they haven't really read through them all to figure out what they need to do with them. So it's there, but they don't quite know what to do with it just yet. Four of Pentacles here in the reverse. Okay, so this is saying there is going to be a need to let something go. And what this feels like is a need to let something go from the past so that you can move into the future. And so we also see that that Four of Pentacles in the upright is very much them not wanting to let go of the situation or whatever this is. This is something that makes them feel safe. They don't want to let go of it, and they're going to have to in order to finish something that needs to be finished. So there's a feeling here of something that is unfinished here with the World card in the reverse. It feels unfinished, needs to be finished. It is constantly, it's got this kind of nagging feeling with them that they've got to get something done. They've got to get something resolved, talk to you about it. There's something bothering them, but then you remember they feel guilty about it as well. So there may be a little bit of a need for an apology in this energy, but what I don't know is if they're able to give it, because it feels a little bit awkward, and it feels a little bit like they go into it feeling like they deserve resolution, but not necessarily knowing how to get there, and floundering a little bit with that. So remember that we saw in January, for many of you, there was an important conversation that was going to happen, but it was one that could potentially breed a great deal of misunderstanding. So there's some need for, in order to minimize that, in order to minimize the damage control down the road, there is maybe some opportunity to resolve some of what's happening in the situation while it's happening. You can see with this, I mean, just with what's come out, if this is the conversation that they're bringing to you, it's got a lot of moving parts. It's not necessarily, it's not really an easy conversation to have, but there is something very positive about, okay, so this is the Empress card, and oftentimes we see it come out to reflect that feminine energy. It's about whether somebody's ready to move forward, whether they've developed into something, whether they haven't. In this case, it's about a situation having a great deal of potential. The situation has a great deal of potential, and I don't think that this is a reference to like your relationship having a great deal of potential. We know that you are, believe it or not, recognizing some of that or realizing some of that potential even now, even while you're off learning your lessons separately, which in some cases is very necessary. But the other piece of it is that this particular conversation has a lot of potential, and that's really what this Empress is trying to tell us. So I think when we get into the extended, we look at what is likely to happen in this conversation. What are they wanting to come forward and tell you? I think we'll do conscious messages and unconscious messages. So what are you likely to hear, and what would they tell you if they could, but maybe don't have the guts to tell you, or maybe wouldn't be able to articulate. So those are going to be kind of the two sides that we'll look at, conscious messages and unconscious messages, when we get into the extended. For now, we're going to focus on you, where we like to go for this portion of the reading. This is the portion where we look at the lessons that are relevant to you, where you need to focus given what else is sitting here on this table. And so the first thing that comes up is the Two of Earth. Day-to-day balance. We've had this one come up for you, or at least this concept come up for you quite often. It's been about making sure that you are confident in your own energy. This is about making your day-to-day balance. When you wake up in the morning, you got the message a while back to, if you feel, let's see how you feel in the morning and see what's happening as you're coming out of sleep. Do you have things that you're thinking about that need to be written down? You got the advice to put a pencil or pen. I even made that mistake when I said it before. Put a pen or pencil and a piece of paper or a notebook next to the bed so that you don't have to turn the phone on when you write it down. But this is basically saying that you have the opportunity to kind of pull up the edge on something new right now. So you also have the circle. Okay, this is opportunity, but it is movement. This is movement, and you're being allowed to move, like, not, you know how the Wheel of Fortune will make it feel like sometimes you're either being pushed forward by the universe or you're being held back to maybe learn something, and maybe you don't realize what it is that you're trying to learn, and so the universe is keeping you in one place so that you can consistently see it. This is saying go ahead and move forward. That's really what it's telling you, is to go ahead. You're being given the opportunity to really go ahead and move forward. But what's tricky about it, and I feel like this is why it's in the reverse, you're getting the go ahead and move forward, but you're going to do so with very little information and blindly. But the cool thing is, you don't need more than this. You have everything that you need. You have the Book of Shadows here in the reverse. Watch out for bad advice, just like your person may be receiving. So again, this bad advice may not be ill-intended. It may not even be wrong. It may simply be that you have to take every piece of advice that you receive and put it into the context of your own situation so that you can get it right, so that you can use what is actually meant for you there, because it has the feeling of something that could be misinterpreted or taken incorrectly. It's not necessarily a threat like it's going to happen, just the possibility of it. And it's rife for that right now. Again, not necessarily specifically between you and your person, just kind of in general, and any advice that you could be getting. If you get advice from me and you're like, wow, I don't think that feels quite right, go sit with it and make sure that you're actually getting from it what I may be meaning one thing and you may be hearing something different. If you're hearing something different and that something doesn't seem right, don't follow it. Like, it's that simple. If you feel like it's not right, don't go that way. It's about utilizing your intuition here in some cases to kind of work things out. So we've got the King of Cups. And when I say work things out, I mean work out that next path. And we've got the Magician. So a feeling might be here for you of, it feels like it almost comes out as a lack of motivation, but what it really stems from is feeling like you don't necessarily have the power to do what you need going forward in your life. You don't necessarily know how to, maybe even knowing that you have it, but don't know how to use it. We've got the King of Cups here. This is telling me that there is some kind of emotional limitation that has to do with how you wish to be viewed, or how you're coming across, and you're just being very careful about that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Right here, it still shows that you're riding the balance between your ability to convince people and your charisma, as well as doing things for the right reasons. So that balance is currently there, but just be aware that sometimes it will have a tendency to want to throw you off. We have the Six of Pentacles coming out. So Six of Pentacles, and then what is this? Is this part of it? Yes. Wheel of Fortune coming out in the reverse. So again, with this, Wheel of Fortune is feeling like you're being asked to reconsider something where maybe you have learned a lesson or you have built a new perspective, but there's something that needs to go a little bit deeper for you here. So it's not that you're not being allowed to move forward. You're definitely being allowed to move forward, but you have to be sure that you're catching the messages. Take a little extra time to sit with the messages. So that advice that you've been getting in these readings, to sit in prayer, to sit in meditation, it still sounds like it's pretty relevant. But here with the Six of Pentacles, and I feel like this is a repeat message to one that you've received here recently as well. This is about, you're going to have somebody coming your direction that is not necessarily, not that they don't have your best interest in mind, because you got some soulmates coming in. Generally speaking, those soulmates will have your best interest in mind, but they're also not necessarily going to know how to act. So, and certainly not in the context of the energy where they find you, or the way that they find find you. You find them in the process of doing some sort of hobby or some sort of passion that has now started coming to you. But they don't necessarily treat you right to begin with. They don't necessarily give you what you're giving them. And you'll have to decide how you want to handle that. So there's a sense of creation once you come in contact. This is about a soulmate. This is something that you come in contact with someone, and there's a sense of creation or creativity that starts to be sparked there. It might be writing a song together. It might be doing a project together. It might be, solving a problem together. But there's something there that creates a really interesting spark, and you know that there's something. That's where you're going to have some idea that there's maybe a soulmate sort of situation popping up. It does not move quickly. With the Knight of Pentacles here, it does not move quickly. We've got the Eight of Wands, does not feel like part of the reading. The Knight of Pentacles is the relationship doesn't move quickly, but this is about your growth more than anything else. It's not even about the soulmate's growth, because the soulmate has their own thing going on for sure. They're on the they've been working through some things. And we've done a little bit of reading on that soulmate. We might have to get in and check into that a little bit as well when we get into the extended, just kind of see if anything wants to come out on that. It depends on what comes out here. So let's see what comes out here. Okay, so we have the Nine of Wands in the reverse. Okay, once you figure out that this is something special, and despite that Six of Pentacles, so it's going to be this person isn't giving you what you are owed, and you have some opportunity to kind of address that, and they respond favorably, it feels like. So then all of a sudden that makes you feel more confident in interacting with this person. You have a Nine of Swords here, so you become triggered. We know that this is not at all uncommon as you're kind of working through something new, to become triggered knowing that you were kind of just dealing with something that was frankly really tough. The situation with your person is a triggering situation. Let's see here. We've got the Phoenix. Okay, so this is a special deck. This tarot card has, this tarot deck has 78 cards, the standard 78 cards, plus 2 additional ones. And the Phoenix is one of those. As much as I originally thought maybe it looked kind of like an extra death card when it first came in here, it really does focus on the rebirth portion of things. You've got something really spectacular happening in your rebirth energy that you got to just embrace, or you will do well to embrace it. I would say that. Oh, I can't wait to see this play out for you. So I've been watching this. You've had this incredible energy coming out. You do have a tendency to overthink yourself, and yet I feel like you know that, and you're able to kind of work past it. But we've been watching this. Remember, at the last whole 3 months or something of 2023, we were watching I was saying your flame is growing. You were becoming more and more of the person that you were ideally intending to become. Then you hit the ground really strongly in the beginning of 2024, like hit the ground running, ready to go, doing nice healing, but still being very much held back by kind of the chaos that's happening in this person's energy. So we see that there's breakage happening in their life that ends up feeling a little bit chaotic. They have this feeling, there's a lot of potential in the conversation that they would like to have with you, or communication they would like to have with you. So we're going to get some messages. Some of you have already been in contact with your person. The greater majority have not. Let's get some feeling for what ideas or what might come out in that communication, as well as kind of, like I said, the conscious ideas and the unconscious ideas. So that's what we're going to do when we get into the extended. And then maybe depending on how we're feeling and how things are panning out, we may also get a little bit into this soulmate that's heading your way. And if not, then I think we might do an extra reading one of these days here to just kind of talk about that soulmate and maybe take a look at things. So I will see you in the extended if you'd like to go there. The link is down below. Alternately, I will see you in tomorrow morning's reading.